Vaping is the physical embodiment of modern weakness. It's a perfect example of how society is conditioning men to be softer, weaker, and easier to control. Because it keeps you distracted, it keeps you numb. It robs you of the masculine life force that's needed to become the strongest, most capable, effective version of yourself. Good morrow, friends. My name is Chris Cavallini. This is the Start Today podcast. Obviously, most of you know that. You should know that. It's been a while since I did a podcast. I've been busy building empires. And honestly, I don't want to just come on here to come on here. If I'm going to come on here, I'm going to come on here with intention. I'm going to come on here with a message that I feel passionate about. But I've also made another decision here recently. I've decided that just in the interest of being able to just feel like doing more podcast for you guys, I am only going to do a podcast when I'm called to do it. And the criteria for me being called to do a podcast is basically going to be my level of irritability. See, the more disgusted I feel, the more inspired I'm going to be to come on here and spread some truth. Because although I am spending my time, investing my time and money and mental energy into coming on here to help people, I know, and I'm calling it right here, right now, the clips from this podcast will go viral. They're going to go viral, and there'll be a lot of positive comments, no doubt. There always is. But there will always be a contingent of individuals who are triggered by the content and then start attacking me for things that are outside of my control, like my past, my height, things that I can't change. And this is completely fine because I don't do podcasts or make content to win a popularity contest. I have no interest in such things. I do this because I'm aware of the fact that for thousands of years, shame has been used as a motivator to call masculine men to action. The Spartans, Alexanders, Macedonians, just some of the most feared, dominant warrior cultures in human history, used shame as a way to inspire men to become something more. And look, I get a lot of stuff going on. I'm busy with my company, busy with my brand, trying to slide a personal life in there as well, in addition to my very stringent fitness routine. But I decided I'm gonna come on here a little more when I do podcasts. They're going to be 100% fueled by testosterone. So the energy that you're going to get from me on the podcast is mostly going to be of annoyance. It's going to be a bit of irritability. There's going to be a lot of shame here. I'm not going to lie. And today we're going to drill down on something, something that is just, in my opinion, an embarrassment of modern society as it relates to an activity, a habit that I see men, young men especially, all over doing. It's ridiculous to me. I don't see this much. I definitely don't see it in my bubble. When I venture out of my bubble, I see it. I see it online. And what we're going to discuss today is arguably the least masculine habit one can possess. Maybe an argument could be made porn is, edges it out slightly, but either way, if it's not number one, it's number two. And I'm talking about vaping. Vaping is, I don't get it. Guys, I'm just going to be honest with you, all right? And I'm an old man, and I realize that, times change and different generations do different things for fun or recreation. I completely get that, but I don't get it for the life of me. Every time and any time, when I first started seeing vapes pop up, I would look at these people that were doing it, and it was just shocking to me that they just had no awareness whatsoever of how foolish they look. They get their little machine off the charger, press their little button. They're sitting there waiting for it to heat up to be ready so they can inhale these shitty chemicals into their lungs. I don't understand it. I don't understand how, look, I'm going to tell you, when I see a grown man vaping, I don't see a grown man vaping. What I see is a grown man taking a little smoking right? A little miniature pocket-sized smoking and putting it in their mouth. That's what I see. I shared this with somebody one time who told me they vaped, and somebody is a friend of mine and I care about him, young guy, right? Of course, this is the problem. When you're young and stupid, you don't know that you're actually young and stupid. You are unaware of just how unaware you are. And I can attest to that, right? Because I lived that life. Fortunately, I woke up. Unfortunately, a lot of young men are not only, not waking up, they're walking a path that is going to just be detrimental to any shot they have of creating a successful future. That said, when I had this discussion with my friend, I told him, like, look, this is when I see people doing that, men, like that's what it looks like to me. That's like the vibe that I get. I get like just kind of like gay vibes. And I told him, I said, if you love the vaping so much, why don't you you should get this like little rubber tip that looks like a stick it on the end of your machine. And I was just with him. And I was doing it in front of some of his colleagues as well. Not going to lie, but again, I'm trying to make it sting a little bit, right? Because without that little feeling, that little malevolence, that bit of stress and frustration you have towards the person, towards me, perhaps, that, is sharing the uncomfortable truth, telling you the things not that you want to hear, but you need to hear, that has to be present in order for some type of change to occur. There has to be a stimulus, and typically that stimulus needs to not feel very good. So I told them, hey, you should get this little rubber tip to put on your machine. I'm like, you might as well, right? You're already, in the little pocket held smoking all the time. And later, I don't know why I decided to do this, but I just felt called to doing a Google search. And sure enough, they actually make that product. They make little rubber vape tips. And why is that important? Why is that relevant? Well, another interesting fact I found out recently is there's actually research that's been done, and you guys can search this, okay? I'm not citing PubMed articles and all that shit. I don't have time for that. Do a Google search. But there's actually been research done. And again, I don't know the extent of the research. I know that it's published research. It was national press that says if you vape, you're more likely to be gay. And if you're gay, cool. If you vape, cool, fine. That's your prerogative, okay? I'm trying to wake people up who are unaware. I'm trying to make people realize that, look, here are the facts. Here's the information. You do with it what you will. I have the information. I have the knowledge, and I feel I have a responsibility to come on here and share it with people who might not have access to that same information. And look, I don't love coming on here with this energy necessarily. It is stressful, right? It's stressful delivering a message like this, but I feel it has to be done. This is the energy you're going to get from me on the Start Today podcast. If you're looking for the more lighthearted, kind of funny, laid back version of me, you'll find that on YouTube in Tales from the Crib. That said, let's talk about vaping. Alexander the Great conquered the world at 21 years old. Can you imagine him out there with his war council stepping out for a hit of a vape in between battles? Of course not. King Leonidas of Sparta, Marcus Aurelius, Tom Brady, Michael Jordan, men who built empires, shaped history, and led armies to victory or teams to endless championships. Do you think for 1 second they were ever stepping outside the war tent or off the field to take a blueberry ice break? Of course not, you idiot, because real men don't seek comfort. They seek greatness. And greatness requires discipline. It requires strength. It requires that you have control over your own mind. And vaping is the exact opposite. It is metaphorical weakness in a pod. But when you look around today, you see young men everywhere who can't go an hour without a hit from their vape, treating it like a lifeline for their anxiety. It's embarrassing. They can't go, so they got to take a quick hit of a vape. It's ridiculous. Let me be blunt. Vaping is debatably the least masculine habit out there. It's a modern crutch that's turning men into soft, weak, fragile. Do you actually think on a USB stick full of watermelon-flavored, synthetically produced chemicals that are produced in China, by the way, that you light on fire and deeply inhale into your own lungs is a winning strategy? Probably also worth noting that despite producing more than 90% of vaping products globally, the sale of flavored vaping products it's actually illegal in China. I wonder why that is. But what's actually equally as hilarious as it is concerning is the fact that most young people actually believe that vaping is a superior healthy option to cigarettes. Now, I'm not saying cigarettes are good. In fact, I think cigarettes are disgusting. But nobody's smoking cigarettes in a state of delusion, thinking to themselves that this is actually good for them. So when have you actually ever heard of something that's cheaper and more convenient while simultaneously being a superior option? Haven't, because it doesn't exist. Vaping is making you weaker, objectively and factually. I'm going to give you those facts. And if you want to vape, continue to vape, that's cool. I don't care. My intention today is to share some information with you that you may or may not have been aware of. All right. First and foremost, vaping wreaks havoc on your body's hormones. There are studies that have been done showing the chemicals in e-cigarettes destroy testosterone levels. In tests, they showed that just exposure to vape liquid can drop testosterone by 50%. 50 That's like cutting your manhood in half on a chemical and biological level. Low testosterone, by the way, means low muscle, more body fat, less ambition, less drive, a lower sex drive, and basically less of everything that makes you a man. So vaping is literally, it's killing your masculine energy and decimating your health. But when you're vaping, you're not just vaping. You're also making yourself a slave to dopamine, more so than you already are. Because every time you chase that vape, you're reinforcing just the mindset of instant, immediate gratification and comfort. And that shit bleeds into every area of your life. Because if you vape, you're also more likely to watch, skip the gym, eat like shit, and scroll on TikTok all day like a loser. You're rewiring your brain to avoid discipline and chase the easy way out. And the easy way out, as a friendly reminder, leads to a weak, pathetic, unfulfilling life that inspires absolutely no one. Here's another fun fact, not so fun fact. From a health perspective, there is precisely zero long-term studies on vaping, none. So no one actually knows what it's doing to you 10, 15, 20 years from now. And it might be worth pointing out that for almost 60 years, cigarettes were marketed and promoted as being healthy. We see how that worked out for everyone. But let me ask you an honest question here. When is inhaling unknown chemicals, Chinese chemicals, mind you, directly into your lungs, when has that ever turned out well in the history of civilization? It hasn't. I'm going to save you the bandwidth, okay? It hasn't and it won't. Look, you say you want to be strong, successful, respected, a high value man, but here you are on a USB stick like a desperate crackhead fiending for a hit. It's pathetic. Do you think the kind of man who commands a room, dominates in business, and walks into a gym looking like he was carved from granite is out there puffing cotton candy clouds? No, that guy doesn't vape. That guy doesn't need to vape because he's in control. And if you're not, it's time to take that shit out of your mouth, throw it in the trash, and start acting like the man that you claim you want to be. The truth is, vaping is the physical embodiment of modern weakness. It's a perfect example of how society is conditioning men to be softer, weaker, and easier to control because it keeps you distracted. It keeps you numb, right? It robs you of the masculine life force that's needed to become the strongest, most capable, effective version of yourself. So look, I've peppered you with problems to this point. So let's discuss the solutions that will help you break free of this weakness once and for all. The truth is, you don't just simply quit a bad habit. You have to replace it with a better one. And if you try to stop with nothing to fill the void, you'll relapse. It's only a matter of time. You need to swap this weak behavior for something strong. And here's how. All right, if you're vaping, you're likely not drinking a gallon of water a day. A gallon of water a day is a non-negotiable fitness and life hack of mine that will improve your life, just that in and of itself. So get rid of the vape. Whenever you have the urge and you reach for it, and of course it's no longer there because you've got rid of it, I want you to chug water for 10 seconds. This is the easiest way, by the way, to fix the issue of vaping while also improving your health and fitness. Keep a gallon jug with you, all right? It's gonna keep your mouth busy, all right? It's gonna flush out your little cravings and it'll hydrate you instead of poisoning you, which that sounds good, right? Now, I was a little hesitant to list this one, but it. All right, I want to offer you up as many solutions as possible so we can get past this and move forward. If you absolutely need some nicotine, if you feel you need a little something to get you going, I get it. I completely get it. All right, try using a 3 milligram Zyn pouch once a day. That'll give you the fix that you need without the embarrassing vape in your hand. Zyn pouches have nicotine without all the chemicals, and unbeknownst to most, nicotine is actually a powerful nootropic and impactful cognitive enhancer. I personally use it 3 days a week, and look, it works. But you got to remember, this should be temporary. Okay, a way to break the hand to mouth habit. Have a plan to wean off the pouches so you're not just swapping one addiction for the other. And obviously you can just hit the gym, not the vape. There's really not a whole lot to add to that. This should go without saying, but instead of hitting the vape like a little maybe drop down and knock out 10 push-ups. Get rid of the vape and replace it with something. It doesn't matter what it is. But before I get off here, guys, look, I got to share something personal with you. I have vices. I'm not saying you shouldn't. I smoke weed at night. I do drink alcohol on occasion, and I go to bed a lot later than I should. And I definitely don't get enough sleep. But I'm also a multimillionaire. I'm highly disciplined. I train twice a day. I walk around at 8% body fat, and I'm actively growing my business and empire with the help of an amazing group of people around me. So I'm not saying you shouldn't have vices. What I'm saying is that you need to control your vices so your vices don't control you, because no one is coming to save you. No one is going to slap that vape out of your hand as much as I'd love to. Trust me, this is on you. Stop saying you're addicted. Those words, that's weakness. Those words alone are a declaration of surrender before you even try. That ain't gonna work anymore, not in 2025. You have to declare martial law on your own mind. You have to prove that you're stronger than this little concoction of Chinese chemicals sticking out of your right back pocket. And because you can, you must. You know the drill, my friends. Start today.